Jerusalem Chester begins.
Right.
All right, let's see if this is working now. Okay, now it's working. Here we go.
Great.
All right, let's get this going. Come on. All right. Okay, everybody. Hello. We have a guest here, Father Pollard. It's not Father Riley. It's Father Pollard, and he is here with us because he's going to help us solve all the problems tonight. And of course, our seminary Ethan returns. Skinny one. With his nice official, is it diocesan polo shirt?
It is, yeah, it's
Okay.
the seminarian uniform.
See, good, you're wearing it. That's good. That's extra brownie points. All right, so we say hello to everybody, and hope everybody's doing well. We had confessions in the church, lots of confessions tonight. It was very nice, and we're trying to figure everything out for the summer. And so we'll see if anybody has anything to say, or we're going to come up with some complicated things to resolve tonight. So hello, Suzette and Joan and Bernadette, Rosemary, Delane, and Jane Canada's here. And all right, everybody's here. All right, so Father, what is the latest topic of interest that you are reading or thinking about, or what controversy can we stir up tonight?
Well, there are lots of controversies we can stir up tonight. I'm not sure we can actually get them resolved.
Well, we don't resolve things, we just stir the pot.
We just stir the
And
pot.
then get people to send us questions.
I don't know. Actually, the question that I've bounced off a number of people and I've started to read about is, now that we're getting out of quarantine,
Yeah.
are there any either personal or church or cultural lessons to learn out of it so that, we're actually better off?
Right.
So that keeps coming up. I know a couple of bishops have written pastoral letters about it.
Yeah. Bishop Burbage wrote one. I don't know, other dioceses, are they writing one?
Archbishop Etienne out in Seattle.
In Seattle, okay, yeah.
He's written about it.
Now we've talked also too, kind of along with this, just parallel to it, this phenomena now of these dioceses that are merging.
Yes.
The state of the church today, some of it's obviously just big territory, and they have less priests or less people to cover it, so they're combining it. But it seems like, we've talked about how in other dioceses, as they're contracting, they're merging parishes, and now we're starting to see what we think is maybe, merging of dioceses. As the Catholic population in the West, in the U.S. starts to go down, can they manage these big, huge archdioceses and things like that?
Well, did you see the story from Germany that where they're
Yes.
doing their synod and they were going to combine 300 odd parishes down to
85
something like that?
in the Vatican said.
Yeah, I thought that was. I'm glad the Vatican stepped in and went,
Exactly.
wait, that's too fast.
9.
Right.
Yeah, and then they have their synod going on, but now I wonder if the synod was going to be canceled because of COVID, but I guess not.
I think they delayed,
Okay.
but they're getting started again.
Yeah. What do you think of merging parishes and merging dioceses? Any thoughts? You're just at the beginning of seminary.
Well, my 2 years of college seminary experience, I think that would be very fast to just decide 1 week to do it and close it down, yeah.
Right. Well, I think that, the bigger challenge is like, how do you, manage, I think before they just grew and grew and grew, and for the last 50 years, everything's been contracting. People have been leaving the church, the baby boomers are passing away, and we have, how many? 50,000 priests left the priesthood in that time, and 150,000 nuns. So I think maybe it's along with what you started with coronavirus that there's a lot to learn. I think it's been interesting because, not tonight, but other confessors have said that it seems like people have really been affected by this period. Their faith is rocked, they've gone through all this, having to go to sacraments. So I think people are coming back, a lot of them are yearning for the Eucharist, but I think too, people are coming back kind of shaken up. And I think maybe they're more open to talk about the faith.
Well, actually, a comment that I've made to you, since you started here at the same time I started in Christendom, was that, so for 3 years I've had the privilege of coming up here in confessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said more than once that I'm incredibly impressed by the confessions.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always immediate to say that you're assuming it's directly related to Eucharistic adoration.
Yeah.
But the depth with which people think about their sins and think about their circumstances and want to change and want to be healed.
Yeah.
There's just something really impressive here.
Yeah, because you have 25 years of generally perpetual exposition, and I think that's how people grow in their relationship with God. But it was fascinating too because we started doing confessions during Mass. We didn't get up and go, okay, everybody's a big sinner, go to confession. we would just, I mean, it was typical Father Lundberg, we just started hearing them, I didn't announce it, and then the deacon was like, well, maybe we should announce it. So then we would just say, confessions are available, Father Pollard's here in confession. And people would just line up. And every week the line would get longer and longer, and it's all these different ages, and all these different backgrounds. And so I thought it was just interesting that, even without a ton of catechesis about it, or promoting it, people just responded. So there seems to be something to it. I tend to think more parishes it would happen if priests. Sometimes a lot of parishes don't have the priest to do it.
But I mean, in hearing confessions around, so it's not here in particular, it's more in general. At least one of the things that you could hear over the course of quarantine was a level of distress, and how hard it was for people to deal with isolation for all sorts of, all ages, all circumstances. It was just a common kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. We got a bunch of people joining us. Anne Marie joined us. Elizabeth, Anna, Carolyn Spinelli says hello all. And by the way, Father Holmes, where's Father Holmes? Father Holmes is on vacation. So everybody pray for Father Holmes. We kicked him out the door. We said, go take vacation. And he is doing that. He's at an undisclosed location having a good time. But we text him and annoy him. Candy's here. Megan and Michelle, Pat, Isabel, Father Fenton, Ronald Williams, Julie, Chris. Chris is doing a great job. Chris Ricketts, he's been running SASH. This is the first week of SASH. So we have our new seminarian here. Everybody's met you. Some people have seen you at Mass. What's your impression of SASH?
Oh, SASH is great. So for those who may not be familiar with the formats, basically some high school and high school graduates and college students come back over the summer, and they run a course for a camp for several weeks. It's a little shorter this year because of the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like elementary through like 6th or 8th grade.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really great program. The staff are coming in and they're serving as counselors and examples and role models for these young kids, helping with activities and crafts and games. It's really awesome.
And we have to follow. It's much smaller. Last year when we did it, we had like 100, 110 kids a week. This year we have less than 40 kids a week because of the phase we're in and the numbers that we can have, less than 50. So when you combine with the staff and the kids, so we have a smaller camp, but we were able to do it. So back to you.
Yeah, and I mean the other important element here I think is for the instructors, the college age guys, Father. They're doing some theology talks and some time for adoration and kind of fraternity and growth as peers in Christ, and I think that's a really important part of the camp too. Yeah. Chris was very generous and invited me to come down and join him for some of these things.
Nice,
and, so I've been there. It's great. These young men and women are just awesome. They're doing a great job.
Our seminarian's been dragged everywhere. He's playing soccer. He's going to SASH. He's helping at Spanish Mass. All kinds of stuff.
So it's been great. SASH is great. I'm looking forward to the next few weeks of being able to be involved. And
maybe we can get you to come back.
Yeah.
Suzette says good evening. Hello, Suzette. Joan says good evening. Hello, Joan. Marilyn says good evening. Kathy says hi. Let's see here. Marilyn says, rather than standing in a long line, would it be... I think we're talking about confession. Okay. Rather than standing in a long line, would it be possible for handicapped people to sit somewhere while waiting their turn? I have a hard time standing for any length of time due to hip and back issues. Marilyn, in a certain sense, that would be an option. The difficulty we have on some level is just, we have the two confessionals. What we could try to do sometime is either set up an appointment or maybe have a friend come bring you, and then, they could hold your spot in line, and then when it's time, you say, excuse me, and they go get you and bring you in the confessional, because totally, a lot of times people have like a hard time waiting in line, and we have to figure out some creative way to do it. Any thoughts about how you've done that in your parishes in the past?
Oh, well, you're describing about someone, waits in line and says, you're kind of warned that there's someone coming and there might be a wheelchair sound or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yes, that would be something doable. Robert says, hello, gentlemen. Hello, Robert. Let's see here. Oh, what do we got here? Pat's, here we go. David says, Crocs with a cassock. Interesting choice. Yes, David, we're going casual, ecclesiastical casual. I should get some slip-on slippers, but it's a new look. So Fran's here, George is here, Valerie, Betsy, Tom, your buddy Tom Crow is here. Yeah, Tom, send us some obnoxious questions for Father Pollard.
Or at least something sarcastic.
Pat says, isolation has not been so difficult for me. My issue's been the anger when I do need to go out and lack of cooperation with methods to help keep people safe. I last about 20 minutes before I start to get angry and have to leave. I think there's different kinds of things, frustrations people face, because I hear all kinds of frustrations from people when they come in and talk, or, when they bring it up in confession, and I think that, I've heard from nurses who work with people who are dying, work with people who are sick, and who also have said, they've shared their opinions about how things should go. I've heard from people who have compromised immune systems, heard from people who want to get out and just get to mass, and who feel that this is, kind of being blanketly applied to everybody. So I think there's a lot of powerful emotions that people are dealing with, but that, it's sort of like just getting people back out. And I think that the numbers in Virginia are going down. In the US, they've gone up a little bit, but I think they're starting to go back down again. So, here, I'm kind of hopeful that the numbers continue. It seems like we've definitely hit sort of a downward trend so that we can start getting people out more. Carolyn, we talked to Carolyn. Brenda's here. Michael, Timbrine is here. Laura's here. Poor Laura, you can't get away from Sacred Heart. We come to you at your house. You work here. Bonnie's here. Deacon Silva's here. Marilyn said thank you. Let's see, we have nobody on YouTube. So, what do you think some lessons could be learned from this, whether or not they're going to be learned?
Hopefully we're more aware after this of the problem with isolation and loneliness. Mm-hmm. It's something actually that Pope Francis talked about when he was first elected. It's been acknowledged nationally as a mental health issue and a social issue. And I think the same technology that enables us to communicate like this is the same technology that isolates people. And the problem is, as people become more isolated, they basically can drop off the radar screen.
Right.
And then it's easy for them to be in trouble, deal with depression or whatever. And hopefully we walk away with greater awareness of the need to reach out.
Yeah. I think there's more of an appreciation for the Eucharist and the sacraments. I think people kind of, we just used to, we go to church, or maybe I didn't get to church, and then when you can't go, it's then whoa, But then how to support people, because then one things we try to figure out in communicating with people is can we do mailings? Some people would respond to mail, some people might do email, but many might not. Some might have social media or Facebook, YouTube, but others don't, and how to reach them. It's been surprising how many people have come up. I went and did a wedding up in Fairfax, people who watched our stuff from Sacred Heart. So on one level, it's interesting because I resisted Facebook. You're too young to know MySpace, but MySpace was sort of a predecessor to social media.
I know MySpace.
Yeah, and it was so scuzzy. I thought Facebook was going to be like MySpace. I'm not going to get on that so bad. But then I was I can talk to my high school friends and my grade school friends and my college friends and seminary friends. So all of a sudden, all these connections were great. And I thought, this is awesome. But then the longer I would stay on Facebook or social media, the more frustrated I would get, because you get these debates and you can't solve the problems. And we mimight have a guest appearance.
Hey, Father.
We're on live stream right now. It's all right. It's a ghost. You didn't see him.
Am I off screen?
You are, but we can hear you. So, in the background that you can't see is the mystery priest who will appear in about a week here at Sacred Heart, who we're going to talk about right now, but you can't see him. So, 'cause we have a question here that came up. When does the new guy officially start? We were walking laps around the church, so I'm unpacking and welcomed him to Sacred Heart. Yes, the new guy, Father Riley, will start here on the 25th, and he is in and out right now, getting settled, getting situated, and learning the parish. And we're excited. I've told him and other people repeatedly, no good deed goes unpunished, because when I was in college, Father would be the chaplain part-time at Christendom, and he was encouraging vocations, which I didn't want to have anything to do with. And so then 23 years later, he gets shafted. He has to work for one of the guys that he recruited. So, but he has a background in media and film, so we're going to take the Rectory chats to a new level. It's going to go beyond belief. So the new guy will start in about a week. But Laura says good evening. Hello, Laura. Let's see what we else got going on here. Chris Shaper says hello all. Brenda Sealbox says hi Father Pollard. So she's watching you. And let's see. Valerie's here. So, I mean, I think some of the things too coming out of this, it's interesting, the benefits or the blessings of COVID. You know, we had talked about trying to do social or streaming maybe in a couple of years. I thought about it in my head, but I never thought we would do it. You know, or eventually we might do something. Well, overnight we had to get up to speed on this. And then this opened up this whole new, you know, I said people were desperate because they were watching, you know, not Father Pollard, but Two Fat Priests, me and Father Holmes, you know, in our little rectory with our fake fireplace. But that is like the most positive feedback we've gotten from people who like the rectory chats. And we talked about it and the fact that it's going into their house, you know, where we can reach them in a way. So I think that connection has been good. And it's been interesting too because, I mean, we, in the month of May, we were at 90% of the financial support that people give the parish compared to a year ago. And we're only about 40, maybe 45% of people getting to Mass. So, I mean, you know, people have been really supportive, so we want to see how we can kind of build on this. We have to come up with some new things we can do with how we're going to do school. We're having big conversations. The diocese is looking, you know, how schools will open. The governor has given out directives. Our principal is studying this with the teachers. Our DRE, we're talking with some others about how we're going to do religious education. But I think this debate, which is interesting, and I don't know your thoughts, you know, this whole question about what's essential. I mean, the diocese, out of concern for public health, was saying we've got to be careful about how we spread this virus. But in our diocese, we kept the churches open, adoration going, confessions, baptisms, weddings, anointings, funerals. But, you know, and we encourage people to pray, but like you say, you get the feedback. It's not enough to watch on a screen, you know, and that you really see the need for the sacraments, you know, and this idea of what's essential, you know, and how I mean, then I think about Japan, where they didn't have the faith for like 200 years. I mean, sorry, they didn't have the faith, they didn't have priests.
Right.
And yet they kept passing on the sacraments. So, let's see here, we got Anthony's here, Chris says hello, Valerie, we said that, Darlene's here, Angie's here, Tony says, good evening, Father Lundberg, Father Pollard, and oh, he promoted you, Deacon Gould.
Oh, nice, yeah. Thank you. I'm not a deacon yet, but you know, maybe 4 years down the road, God willing, so we'll see.
Oh, here's a very good ad right now. Brenda says, I donate through my web bill pay at my bank, contactless, easy. Oh, forgot, brought to you in part by LaCroix, tonight's flavor, hibiscus, exotic. You too can sign up online, sacredheartwinchester.org. All right, let's see here. Shelby, Pastora, one of our teachers, she says hello. Hello, Shelby. So
I mean, can you throw a question out to your viewers?
totally, we can throw a question.
Well, what lessons do you think we should walk away with or learn from
Yeah.
this whole experience of quarantine and coronavirus? And not as an excuse to complain, but I mean in terms of, you know, a thoughtful consideration of what the Western world's been through with all of this.
Because I mean, the thing we struggle with all the time is we use methods. People in the parishes and in the diocese and in Catholic institutions work so hard, and they're overworked, underpaid, they fundraise, they try to do all this stuff, but we see declining numbers everywhere in terms of, you know, a good friend of mine says, you know, was it Dwight Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, warned about the military-industrial complex, and then my friend coined the term. We have the sacramental industrial complex, and our biggest product that we produce is ex-Catholics. You think about the millions and millions of Americans who went through parochial schools, who were catechized, and maybe not, you know, they obviously maybe not catechized well, or maybe they weren't evangelized. But, you know, I keep thinking that somehow with coronavirus that we could get some good insights about how to reach people or what's important. You know, I think some people because of health reasons might stay away, but I think other people, you know, this might give us a chance to see what really helps people and what serves them. Let's see here. Mary Fran Cherry from Front Royal says, is that a real fire? Are you guys cold? No, it's not a real fire. This is a fake fireplace. This is totally cool. But this is a fireside chat with FDR. So I pulled out from another room this fake fireplace. Now we can turn on the heat, but we don't have the heat on. But it's definitely so that we can look like we're by the fireplace. Okay, so in response to your deep question, we're not getting an answer right now. Let's see here. Oh wait, maybe we do have one. Okay. Suzette says, Rectory chats are wonderful. This has been a great connection with others in the diocese. Can you shut that door? At first, it was very hard and frustrating to get the connections, all the technology. I understand anxiety and depression, but getting back to the Eucharist and receiving Jesus again, wow, some of us are not very good with technology. And again, technology is a nice tool, and it can help on some level, but we've talked about this, right? You know, a lot of times people get confused. The obligation to attend Mass has been lifted. So even now, if you go to Mass, it is an act of devotion. There's not an obligation to go, and you don't have an obligation to watch Mass on your TV. I mean, we provide this in a way to stay connected, but our obligation is to keep holy the Sabbath. And we need to pray. We should pray over the readings. You could say the Rosary, you know. But I think a lot of times people feel bad, like, oh, Father, I have a hard time watching Mass on the internet or on our TV. No kidding, it's bad enough in person, and then to watch us waddle around on a screen. You know, I don't think it's particularly inspiring at times, but.
Right, I mean, the liturgy isn't set up, whether it's, you know, the ordinary form or the extraordinary form, it's not designed to be broadcast.
Right.
I mean, we can broadcast it, but,
Right.
you know, and so even the Vatican or EWTN,
Right.
they have to do all sorts of funky camera things to try to keep people engaged.
Right, to keep moving camera angles, right?
Right.
And we just have one big shot of sweaty priests moving around the altar. It's not exactly dramatic.
Right.
We got a whole crew of the youth group, you know, with cameras and different camera angles. Let's see. Kathy says, I've enjoyed the Rectory chats because it gives a more intimate feel to our enormous parish. That's a good thing too, because we've talked about this a lot, how, you know, most people's interaction with the church is you go to Mass, there's a minister, a priest on the altar, you hear some kind of message from the pulpit, which may or may not resound with you, or and then you leave. Maybe before COVID, we would shake hands, say hi. That's your moment to get a question in or comment or something. Some people come to parish events or they volunteer and they have a little bit more connection with the office or with the staff or the priest. But that's, for many people, it. You know, that's how you get to know your parish. And here we have this chance to kind of have this community, you know, and ask these questions. So I think it definitely helps a lot. Let's see here. We've got a few things here. Oh, people are diving in. Okay. If you could go anywhere on vacation, I'm curious as to where you would go. So grateful for your Rectory chats because it gives us opportunity to know you better. Where would you go on vacation?
I would go to the Holy Land.
Okay. Any particular place?
I would want to spend. I had a chance to go once before, and we spent some time in Jerusalem and some time up north, around the Sea of Galilee.
Okay.
I would want to spend a week just around Jerusalem with my New Testament, or even part of the Old Testament,
Yeah.
and be able to take parts of what the text describes and actually see them.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a fantastic thing to do.
I felt really bad before that. Okay.
Oh, I mean, let's see. I'd say never been to the Holy Land. I think that'd be a great place to go. Rome would be very interesting as well. Never been there, or possibly Scotland or Ireland. So I've never been anywhere fun, really. The only places I've been.
Winchester is so great. Oh my gosh.
Well, first one, Father. First one. No, like most of the traveling that I've done has been through the Army, as far as like out of the U.S.
Yeah.
And all the places they tend to send us are terrible for one reason or another. So
It's why the Army's there.
exactly
Yeah,
right.
right.
You know, we're trying to do something to hopefully help make it better.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it tends to be hot and sandy, or hurricanes just hit somewhere or something like that. So any of those places would be great. I think I was in Germany for like 2.5 hours at 2 a.m. local time for a flight over to the Middle East.
Yeah, Frankfurt am Main Airport isn't the most exciting place in the
Okay,
world.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I felt bad when I went. I mean, I enjoyed the Holy Land. There was a lot of great moments, and to unpack them later. When I was also sick, I had a big sinus infection, so it was hard. But, I don't know, people around here, if you've been to Monticello, or you've been to Mount Vernon, or you go to some historic place, you say, this is Thomas Jefferson's study, or here's his bed, or here's where George Washington is, and it's so kind of anticlimactic, like, father of our country, you see these big paintings, and then, oh, he was kind of short, or, oh, this famous document was signed on this little tiny desk, and you kind of go, So then we would be at the Holy Land. This is where the Our Father was taught. It just kind of, it was so, like in the incarnation, God comes to earth. It's so concrete. It was so specific. I'm like, oh, yeah.
But I mean, didn't you, I assume when you were there, you had a chance to be on a boat out in the Sea of Galilee.
Yes.
So I just know that for me, besides, obviously there's been some modern construction, but the thought that I could actually see something that Jesus actually saw, there was something just really cool about that.
Well, what got me was, at Christendom, went to Christendom, and Dr. Carroll's famous 2 lines were, truth exists, the incarnation happened, and at the center of all time and history is the incarnation, the coming of Christ. And so to go to the Basilica of the Annunciation and to go to the place where the angel visited Our Lady, it just to try to wrap your pea brain around the fact that the center of everything, of all of the universe, of all historical importance, happened right here. It was just like, how do you grasp that?
Right now, when you went, you've been as a priest.
Yes. Yeah.
So I also assume you had the experience that for all of the cool places, it made you appreciate Mass even more.
Yeah.
Because it's really him. He's really here at Mass. And it blows away all the places.
Well, and then we got to, this was Father Magat, a priest of our diocese who is now with the Sulpicians. He organized this trip. It wasn't very big. My parents got to go. It was about maybe a dozen of us, or maybe 14. And so he had done this before. He had all these great connections. So we were in the sepulcher, in the tomb. So we, got to go in there. And there's this little kind of, if you live in the DC area and you go to the Franciscan Monastery of the Holy Land, you see this replica. So it's kind of this half door. Got to hunch over to get in there. And then you've got the slab and all this stuff. So we have like 12 people. And Father Magat very graciously said that I could be the main celebrant and he can celebrate. So I'm standing up there at the altar. Here's the tomb. Here's Father Magat. All these people crammed right by the altar with you. And I don't tend to think, though I think I may have some claustrophobic tendencies. And so then there was like a line of hundreds of people out there. We had like half an hour to get in and get out. There's no airflow except for that one thing. And I'm like, I'm going to pass out. And I was like, Bjorn, if you're going to die and pass out someplace, the tomb of Jesus is pretty good. So, kind of calm down.
So the story I told the other day at Mass at Christendom, and I say it with a little bit of embarrassment, but it's what really happened, is that when I said Mass at the tomb, and so, you're in the inner chamber right by the slab where that's the altar,
right.
Is when we got to the consecration, so this is my body, and I elevated the host, and I whispered under my voice, welcome back. I mean, not to be disrespectful, but no. He's back in the tomb.
Old home week. That's very good. I like that. So my favorite place to go on vacation in the whole world is not these edifying holy places. I love Salzburg. So I got to go there when I graduated college, and I was working in Rome, and I had a classmate from Christendom who was studying up in Salzburg. So I took the train up there, and I stayed up there. Your brother helped me get contact to stay at the seminary. They had rooms kind of for rent, kind of like a hostel thing. And, Sound of Music, the whole thing. And then when our classmate got ordained a priest, so we had a classmate, his name's Father Joseph Norris, and he was with us in pre-theology for 2 years. And then he discerned a vocation to the religious life with the Augustinian canons at Kloster Neuburg in Vienna. And so about a year after we were ordained, he was ordained a priest. So rough life, we flew over to Vienna for his ordination. And then a group of us took the train on our way from there to Salzburg, or we went to Salzburg, and then I went on to Rome. So second time being there. But I just love the Sound of Music, and I love Austria, I love Salzburg, and it's beautiful. And there's this neat little chapel near the cemetery with a perpetual adoration, these beautiful churches, and so.
So you've been there, and you've been to Krakow.
Mm-hmm.
Salzburg's still better?
You're right, I do love Poland a lot. But I would go back to, if I had to pick one place, I'd probably go to Salzburg.
Okay. If you could pick two?
I'd go to Poland and Salzburg.
All right.
Yeah. And it looks like in 2 years, or no, that's right, this fall, coming up, not this year, sorry, in 2021, we were going to do a parish pilgrimage or a pilgrimage trip, and that got canceled because of COVID. But we're looking at one of going to Hungary and to Austria and to Germany.
Sounds great.
I'd be like, okay. All right, so Father Tamil from India joins us, and he said, "Hi, fathers and seminarian." He says, "Father Holmes is looking handsome today." Let's see. Carolyn says, "I think we've seen through your example about what's good about contact via the internet. With so many dangers online, you show a good use of technology." Yeah, no, this has been a very good opportunity. Mary Fran, who asked about the fireplace, said LOL. Let's see, James joined us, Cynthia joined us. Carolyn says, "Inquiring Spinellis want to know, what is Mr. Gould's and Father Pollard's favorite movie?"
Oof. It's gonna sound stereotypical, maybe. I really love Lord of the Rings. I love the book, and the movies were, there were some small inconsistencies, but on the whole, it was so faithful. They worked so hard to really like bring the story to life.
Now, when they did The Hobbit, and they did like
Don't
three
let's not.
okay,
Yeah, no.
So Lord of the Rings were good.
Yeah, the original trilogy, like the 2001, 2003. I really enjoyed those.
Okay.
So.
Wow. Like if I could only watch one movie?
I don't know about that. I just think it's your favorite.
If it was religious, it would be Beckett. If it was secular, it would be maybe Robert Redford in 3 Days of the Condor.
Okay. Yeah.
That's an oldie.
It's funny. My favorite movies are both from the late '60s or whatever. I like. I guess on a religious level, it would be The Shoes of the Fisherman.
Right.
And then, I guess Sound of Music, some people would say religious, but it's more just popular culture.
yeah,
Sound of Music. So. But then I love Indiana Jones. Let's just go down the movie thing. One night we had all these conversations about movies. So Kay joined us. Father Dyer is here. Hello, Father. Janine is here. Brenda says, "I do think watching Mass is better when it's your parish priest. Seems more real and like you are participating." This is what I thought was interesting too, Brenda, because I thought, okay, people are stuck at home and they could watch Bishop Barron or Father Mike Schmidt, who's got perfect teeth and all this stuff. I thought, are they going to watch their roly-poly priest at their local parish? But it was interesting, the feedback. People did want to see their church, and see the familiar priests that they know, like their shepherds. Maria Cunningham from Fairfax, she says, "I think this and other opportunities that you've given your parishioners show that people do want the sacraments as a community, but that they also want the personal connection with people, one-on-one with each other. I think things like your Rectory chats, the Bishop's podcast, and other things need to increase so people feel the connection to their priests, deacons, etc." So, Mary Fran says, "So will you continue this when things calm down, if they ever do? I think they're a great idea, even though it's not my parish." Well, Mary Fran, in my perspective, things have calmed down. Right, it's not normal yet, and we're still in this craziness, and we still have a lot to go through. But for me, it was pushing through Lent, and pushing through Easter, and pushing through Divine Mercy Sunday, and pushing through Pentecost. So now, things are normalizing. We're excited that Father Riley's coming. We got another seminarian. We didn't screw that up too much. Bishop said as another seminarian.
Yeah, he got ordained.
Yeah, so you can survive this. So for us, this Wednesday night routine right now, unless we can think of another day, seems to be the time we're going to do it. But we're going to keep doing this. Anne Marie says, regarding question lessons, lessons from this, the time staying home forced all of us to slow down and reevaluate priorities. It also levels out excuses, alters everyone's schedules. Trying new methods is what we're all having to do. The missing of the sacraments will hopefully draw us back to the churches, the priests, the newer connections such as this chat. Shopping Mass online has also revealed just how wide variety of who, where, how a Mass can be visually shared. I would think it'd be interesting, because people have told me this, we check and see who's gonna, if we can find Mass from Sacred Heart, or we check this other parish, or we check that, so. Josephine joined us, Kelly's here, Lori's here, Father Pisano's here, hello Father. Michelle Marsnick's here, Kermit's here, it says hello. Nick joined us, Diane joined us, Josephine says hi, hello Josephine. Kermit says 3 Days of the Condor is really good, so got a fan there. Rebecca's here with us. Tom Crow says there are some great religious sites in the US too. So, like Steubenville?
Oh, so speaking of, can I do a commercial?
Please.
So for my friends, Tom Crow and Noel Easter Crow, I did their wedding about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They have a podcast that they do
Yes,
regularly.
promote it, please.
American Catholic History. It's like 10 to 15 minutes. They're really interesting. You can have small children listen and adults listen. It's a regular thing that I listen to when I drive between Christendom and up here at Sacred
Didn't they
Heart.
do one about the Spanish flu epidemic and like the church up in Philly and how they dealt with it and stuff like that?
Yes, that's come up. I mean, they're coming on their 50th podcast
Okay, cool.
episode. But so American Catholic history, it's worth finding the podcast and just begin to listen, and you'll learn so much, and it's interesting, and they're just fun to listen to.
Sweet. Let's see here. On our YouTube channel, one of our viewers, Newcomb Barbecue, he says, ask the seminarian, please, if his mother used to work at Seton Hope Study in Front Royal.
Yes, my mother, Kathy Gould, was the one of the special ed curriculum development folks there, so she would do counseling for their special needs students.
So you heard it right here, so we will take a follow-up question. Let's see here. Okay, back to, all right. Suzette said, sign me up, Father, I'd love to go back to the Holy Land. So if you organize a trip, you've got some people coming.
Okay.
Marilyn says, I agree with Suzette. I so missed not receiving the Eucharist. I think she misses receiving the Eucharist. Never realized how much I really need it until it was no longer available to me. Yeah, I think, that's what kept coming back over and over from people, is how much, once it was something you kind of took for granted. And not that saying that people did it intentionally, but just when you could go to daily mass, you get to mass every week, and then suddenly when it's gone, it's like this Eucharistic fast. Fran joined us, Chris joined us. Carolyn says, regarding movies, our sons approve of Seminarian Gould's choice very much.
Oh, excellent.
So, that
you guys have good taste.
3 Days of the Condor, we're doing well here. Diane Maple says, hello, Father Pollard from St. Mary's in Old Town.
Oh, that's right. Hey, how did the Basilica?
I'm not sure, Brenda, what you're saying here. Tim, just me too. He's been, or maybe you're just saying just you. I don't know. So Damon joined us. Steven's joined us. Tom Crow says, thanks for the plug, Father Pollard. For anyone who might be interested, that's at American Catholic History. Gave a link. Give a listen. Michelle is here with us. I heard some good news from a friend of mine today. Someone she knows has cancer, and they've been praying, and the cancer is totally eradicated. So we're thanking God for that. Our YouTube friend, Newcomb, says, I used to have to ask him or his brothers to stop doing laps as his mother was meeting with the department director. Good to see him.
Yes.
So,
great to see you guys too. So,
so I don't know what laps you were doing, but like running around the house or
so
something.
well, there's in the office building there. There's like a kind of like a square in one of the new addition to the Seton building, and so my mom's office was kind of like almost near the corner of that. Okay. So when we would go in to work with her for a couple hours, we would naturally find the circle and kind of go around. So.
Nice.
The tolerance of everyone at Seton during those years was much appreciated. So
it all paid off. It's worked, All these people were praying for you.
I love Seton. It was a great environment, great people.
And were you guys living in Warrenton when that was going on?
So my parents live out in Hume, which is kind of almost between Warrenton and Front Royal. So it's about 20-ish minutes to each place. So we had the great blessing of being able to go to Warrenton and take part in some of the community things there with the parish, and then also come over to Front Royal as well, especially when my mom was working out there. So.
Did you go to any of the Quo Vadis camps?
Yes, I went 1 year, my last year in high school actually.
That's right, we talked about that.
Yeah, so it was the one and only time that I went as a camper, and I went again 1 year after that at the request of the vocations director at the time, Father Bashista, so I just helped out with the seminarians a little bit, and I then did not apply to seminary, so that was interesting. So it was good. I really enjoyed the camp. Great time.
Are they doing it this year? Have you
No, unfortunately we had to cancel. The diocese had to cancel both Quo Vadis and Fiat. So hopefully we'll get it back next year. But we'll see.
All right. So Brenda said, she said, Tim just joined me too. Hello, Tim. Good to see you. Maria Cunningham said, great movie is The Darkest Hour. Have you seen that? I haven't seen it. Gotta see it. So Tim is here. Now, Bernadette started to say something. She says, Mr. Gould, but we haven't seen. Okay, she said, did you ever visit St. Peter's in Washington, Virginia?
Yes, I was there, not this past fall, but the previous fall,
Okay.
to do the vocations talk.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So they every November there's a National Vocations Awareness Week,
Yeah.
and the seminarians are assigned out to different parishes throughout the diocese.
Right.
Some get religious sisters and brothers.
Sure.
So I was there in fall of 2018, I guess. So
Yeah. Good impression, I think, on Bernadette. Josephine says we're in Warrenton. So do you know the Supernants?
not by name. I'm sure I've spoken with
Come on,
them.
don't you know everybody in Warrenton?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I had the pleasure of spending last summer's assignment in Warrenton with Father Gould, who was the pastor at the time.
And we have to answer that question. No relation.
No relation to Father Gould. Just he was the pastor there for 10 years. So you
So
know,
okay, on your current track, what year are you going to get ordained? 2020?
2025, God willing.
So, how long has Father Gould been ordained now? I don't know. He would have been. Was he?
I think he and John Vianney were friends. So.
He knew Methuselah. No, because if he was he ordained in 1980 or like 84?
That sounds right.
So by 2025, he'll be ordained 45 years, and we'll have 2 Father Goulds. God willing.
God willing.
Right.
That'd be great. He'll be like, Charlie Ho, I can retire now, and someday he'll be your pastor, and I'm gonna go retire.
Father Gould kept joking about putting out a little shingle on the front door that said Gould and Gould that summer. So
Nice.
That would work.
yeah.
So Susan Parks Netco, who was our principal here for 5 years at Sacred Heart Academy, she joined us. She says, hi, Father. She says, is Father Riley there? Well, I have to say he is in and out. He doesn't start officially till next week, but he's been unloading his stuff and unpacking, get situated here in the parish and helping out in different places. So he has made some appearances, but right now he is not in our chat, but we're going to get him here at some point. Let's see. Oh wait, there was a message here, but I don't know what happened to it. Okay, never mind. Let's see here. So Bernadette said she met you at St. Peter's. I asked if you were related to Father Gould, and she has a little laughing emoji. So I think you get that all the time.
Yeah, it's probably the most common question I get. Like, no, compared to vocations, like no one worries about that. It's like, no, Father Gould, like,
Well, I have a Warrenton question.
Okay, sure.
Do you know Father Jeb Donald's family?
I don't know his family well. Of course, I know Father Donellan. So he and Father Eric Schaefer were in seminary around the time I was in high school.
Okay.
So they were around occasionally for their summer assignments or back for the holidays and things. I got an opportunity to get to know them a little bit. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joan Caruso, she wants to do a shout out to Curbside Cuisine on Wednesday and Friday. Great food and so convenient. That's right. Erin Keller, who's our Director of Food Services at the Academy, and who keeps Father Holmes and I from losing weight. Well, no, it's our fault. She has this amazing kitchen and staff, and she has this great kind of curbside pickup food service, so families can get that. So,
So when is that open?
It's on Wednesday nights and Friday nights, or evenings. People pick them up.
So not anymore.
No, it's not. No, it's not open now.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Was it open when we were hearing confessions?
I think so, because when we would be hearing confessions at the academy, when we were leaving, I would see. I mean, there was some kind of pickup time. I don't know if it's just around dinner time. I'm not sure when their hours.
And we can't assign that as a penance. You have to.
Oh yeah, correct.
Would that be wrong?
I,
That would be wrong.
It would
Wouldn't
be
it?
kind of like conflicting because
Okay.
for your penance, go eat some great food. Yeah, it's on penance. I've heard story about people like saying, like, I remember this one lady said she was all stressed out. She went to confession and the priest said, "For your penance, go have a margarita," and she liked that. So.
I've never given that penance.
Okay, let's see here. Maria Cunningham says, Father Riley, many moons ago, gave some wonderful talks at the Catholic Homeschooling Conventions. You are very lucky to have him in Winchester. Maria, we are pulling every string we can to get everybody here. We're going to get the Cunninghams to move from Fairfax back to Winchester. We're building up the kingdom here. Let's see here. Let's see if we've got any more comments here. There was this comment, but I'll write that one away. Suzette says, just FYI, she says, just FYI, free tours of Fredericksburg Mats Stadium this weekend. Okay, so cool. So we'll give you some free time. You go down to Fredericksburg, it's only about a 2-hour drive. Check it out. Maria says, I need to move there. Yes, you do. Let's see here. Anything else? We'll wrap up in a little bit here. Father, what are you reading?
What am I reading?
Yes.
Well, I'm teaching Old Testament in the fall, and I'm reading this book called Walking the Bible, and it was written by a fellow named Bruce Feiler. I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
So he, from the beginning of the book, he strikes me as, well, he's Jewish, but he's not really a believer.
Okay.
And it's a very secular approach to the Old Testament, and yet, as he gets into it, it's very clear from the Jews he's dealing with in the Holy Land how much faith in the Old Testament, even through archaeology and history, comes through.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like I'm reading about his conversion
Like
back to being
treasure
a
hunt.
believing Jew.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting.
How'd you find it? Someone recommended it, or
It's one of a lot of books that I bought that since I'm teaching this class, I figured
dug out?
it would be worth it to do some background reading.
Cool. Sweet. Let's see. And you're doing your class, just one class for Catholic?
Just one class right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting. It's a social justice class. It's, it's
Are
one
you
of the,
reading encyclicals, or what are you reading?
no, it's a secular sociology kind of class.
Oh, okay.
So it's not directly related to the church's particular teachings, but
Okay.
it's at Catholic University, so it's a fairly moderate
Okay.
perspective. The issues that are bringing up are very good, very interesting. I don't always agree with some of the solutions in there, but we have really good discussions about it, and certainly the awareness of certain problems.
Do you have like Zoom discussions, or are you still online, or how's it work?
We do. So the way they formatted this class was, I guess once a week, we meet for about an hour or hour and a half
Okay.
via Zoom, which is kind of the culmination of the previous week's assignments. So they'll give us, we've been doing almost like a whole book, so it's a ton of reading. And then we fill out a questionnaire. It's like a bunch of short answer questions about the topics we covered, and we go on and discuss it with the professor and the other students in the class.
How many kids in the class?
Counting me is 3, so not a huge amount.
Oh, wow.
But I guess you can get around some of those like minimum class size things when it's online.
But that's interesting. You can actually have conversations.
Yeah, we can
It's
actually
not
do
like
that.
there's 70 people or something.
Right. So the professor is actually like able to. He's a great professor. He's really able to engage with us, and the small size is really conducive to that. So.
And you can't you have to do the reading because you're going to be one of 3 people. And
Exactly. Like you can't not do it. Unfortunately, unfortunately, you also have to include like page number citations for like literally everything you write on on this. They call it a memo. So it's like 10 questions of like very specific citations needed for everything that you say on there. So it's definitely an exercise in research.
Good.
So
Chris Shaper said, I once, referring to the penance of getting the food from the thing, once I received for my penance was to go get an ice cream and reflect. I think I should start doing that. For your penance, get an ice cream. One time I said to somebody, today one Hail Mary. They said, what? Hail Mary? I said, okay, give it more. All right, let's see here. Okay, anything else? Well, I think we've almost done an hour. So everybody pray for Father Holmes as he's on vacation. He's enjoying himself. And we text him to tell him that we still miss him. And pray for Father Riley as he's getting settled and figuring things out as he moves here. We're super excited. I'm trying not to do cartwheels, but I'll be very excited to have 3 priests here. And pray for Father Pollard as he continues to minister over at Christendom. How's the chapel coming along?
You should drive north or west on 66.
And see the
And
massive
it's,
tower.
it's spectacular. I think it'll be, when it's finished, it'll be as spectacular on 66 as the Mormon Temple is on the Beltway in Maryland.
Oh, cool. Oh, nice. Because I haven't seen it from 66. I should do that.
I saw it last week, Father. It was good. It looked really nice. They got the main structures all kind of up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And they're putting all the stone and everything. Let's see here. Patty says, thank you for the wonderful 8th grade mass and graduation last Friday. We will dearly miss Sacred Heart Academy. Well, Patty, we miss you too, and we hope that you stay involved after all the years of all your hard work, with everything you did to make the academy work. The power moms who would host things and organize things and take care of everybody. I have to hire you to come back because I don't know. You have to find 3 people to recruit to replace you because of all the stuff you did. So yeah, it was nice. We were able to do our baccalaureate mass and stream it, and also too we streamed the funeral sat for Justin Angel, who was a 24-year-old parishioner who had graduated from JMU and was up in working in finance up in Arlington, and he got hit by a car and tragically passed away. So pray for his parents and his sister we were able to stream the funeral. And also too, this young, wonderful lady, Emmy, who is the aunt of one of our parishioners, Sherry Riley, and her husband, Fred. And she was in a nursing home or place up in Pittsburgh, and they brought her down, and I went over there on Sunday. They said they thought she was going to pass on Sunday, and, you know, brought her viaticum. And I mean, you know, usually, my experience is usually when you go to anoint somebody, you know, they're not conscious anymore, you know, all this stuff. And she was very conversant, and we prayed, gave her a communion, anointed her, I mean, did all the prayers, and she was lingered about 2 more days, but just a really devout lady, and so praying for her, but how she's praying for us. Let's see here, we got a few more posts here. Anne Marie says, can you capture some pics of the new chapel? Yes, we'll have to post some or show some video, figure out how to do that. Maria Cunningham says, I have a question. How accurate is the movie The Two Popes? Well, Maria, I can't really say my opinion too much online. I think it represents...
Is that HBO? Or is it a movie? Or is it
It was on Netflix. It was on Netflix.
Okay.
So it's a story of Benedict and Francis and how the pontificate of Benedict comes to an end and how Francis takes over. And it presents a very superficial, I think, take of these stereotypes that Pope Benedict is this, you know, Nazi German who's very much into externals and doesn't really pray and is uptight, you know, and that...
So it's a caricature. It's not even a good caricature.
No, it's not. I mean, because there's a lot to look at in both of these men. You know, you look at Francis coming out of Argentina and dealing with all these, you know, the political and the military stuff and his love for the poor and his membership in the Society of Jesus, you know, and then Benedict, who survives, you know, the Nazis and all this stuff. And he's, I mean, we got to meet Cardinal Ratzinger when he was Cardinal Ratzinger once. He's this, you know, little academic, totally gentle, totally gracious, not this vicious Rottweiler that they make him sound like. So a lot of people got excited about it, but I think there's better things that you could watch. So Anne Marie says about the chapel. Would love to see pictures posted online or in this chat. I'm not sure how to do that. Catherine Lopez says in all caps, congratulations on the new priest. Woo-woo! Let's see. Bonnie Hart. Father Pollard, how's Tom at Christendom? I so enjoy visiting him.
Father Tom?
I think so. I'm not sure. So
Father Tom is the assistant chaplain at Christendom, and he's a blessing to have there. I love the way he celebrates the Old Mass. I love the courage with which he preaches. I mean, one of the things that's phenomenal is that since he grew up in Poland under the communists,
he knows.
Is that right? What to us is maybe political theory about when secular liberalism takes over. He grew up under the worst of it, and so it's a very real, it's visceral for him.
Yeah.
And I love the way he preaches about it.
And he's so cheerful. Like,
all the time.
Where does that come from?
He's one of those priests that's cheerful outside and inside. Outside the rectory and inside the rectory. It's phenomenal. So.
And then priests like Father Pollard might go, what's wrong? Because I'm putting the bitter back in presbytery. Yes, Bonnie says Father Thomas. So Father Charlotte here. Hello, Father.
Hey, Dave.
Ryan Hoskins. Hi, Ryan. I got to say Ryan had a great John Paul, the great wedding on Saturday. And Ryan and a bunch of his friends, classmates were there, so that was awesome. So, all right, well, let's see here. Anything else we're going to check out here? All right, so, well, thank you, Father, for joining us as our first sort of official guest on Fireside Rectory Chat. And we'll have to bring in new guests. We're waiting for Father Riley to emerge because he's into theater and film. I love having him on. But would you say a closing prayer?
Sure. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of your gifts and blessings. Draw us closer together and closer to you. Help us to be grateful for your work in our life and help us to cooperate with you always. We pray together. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death.
Amen.
The Lord be with you.
And with your
May
spirit.
Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Thank you for being here and joining us, and we'll see you all next week.